we have like a sanded down version of English that he does. That's kind of like a Mogwai, where it's like you take sort of the general feeling and just kind of be like, so there's just like it's like you might be saying hello, but it's like, I don't know. But everything's human analogous, but filtered through Mogwai.
Well, thank you guys for taking the time. Congrats on the series. It's been so fun to watch it. First thing I wanted to ask was for Izaac. You have to jump into this and play a younger version of a character that so many people know from films they love so much. Was that a lot of pressure for you as an actor?
In the beginning, not really. Towards the end, yeah, most definitely. Because more and more the series went on, the more and more I realized the kind of impact that this show was going to have, and the kind of fan base that surrounds this just in general genre. I at this point you can call it a genre because just like there's so many people who enjoy it. So yeah, it is there's a little bit of pressure, just a tad.
Gabrielle, your character is very cool and very tough, and maybe is that way because she hasn't had it so easy. Like, what was your favorite thing about her to kind of explore and get into as an actor?
My favorite thing about Elle is probably her journey overall in the season. When we first meet Elle, you see that she's tough, she's resilient, she doesn't put up with any crap. But it's for a reason. She was abandoned by her parents when she was super young. So she's dealing with a lot of emotional barriers, and she meets Sam and she meets Gizmo, and they kind of work together on those emotional barriers and help Elle become the best person that she can be, given her circumstances. But the most fun thing that I had, the fun aspect about voicing Elle is that she's so different from who I am. I'm a very bubbly person. I have a huge personality. I love meeting people and making friends, and Elle is the exact opposite.
AJ, you do such a great job kind of picking up from, Howie Mandel's work in the original, but how do you express like a full range of emotions as Gizmo when what you're able to actually say is so limited?
Well, thank you, first of all. It's the same as we do as people, there's such a range of emotions he goes through. It's just finding the right emotes as we go through each scene. I mean, basically he doesn't speak English per se or human vernacular, but we have like a sanded down version of English that he does. That's kind of like a Mogwai, where it's like you take sort of the general feeling and just kind of be like, so there's just like it's like you might be saying hello, but it's like, I don't know. But everything's human analogous, but filtered through Mogwai.
How long can you keep up doing that? Like, do you have to take crazy breaks in sessions, or is it fine? Is it comfortable?
It's pretty comfortable. It's kind of like a weird voice I've been doing since I was a kid, just because my dad used to do something similar. We used to make one of my stuffed animals like talk, would puppeteer them, and he'd be like, it was just so I picked it up. And but yeah, no, it sounds less comfortable than it is. I will say the evil Mogwai or the Gremlins are much more taxing. Because they're, and that eventually gets to you.
Izaac, how would you describe this version of Sam Wang, like him at this younger age?
Pretty authentic. I mean, basically just like me. I mean, obviously I wasn't like sheltered and stuff, but like, I wasn't too sheltered. I was sheltered enough. But yeah, I mean, this kid is pretty. I mean, I think in my personal opinion, he's just your average kid. It's just like if you have good, like kind of semi-strict parents who are like, they don't want you to grow up to be like a super adventurous bad kid, and in that perspective, yeah, he's just a normal guy. And then when he meets Gizmo, well, then he becomes not so normal. So other than that, yeah, he's pretty much exactly like me.
Gabrielle, your characters all obviously spend so much time together. In this process, how much do you three actually get to work together and be in the same room?
You know what? It's hilarious because I think Izaac and I actually only worked together maybe twice or three times. And that's just how the world of voiceover works sometimes, especially with COVID. We got a good amount of episodes in before the pandemic hit, but we did an entire run from the comfort of our homes. But I met AJ at Comic-Con. We had some time to hang out there, but You know what? It's hilarious to kind of get the interaction face to face when the project is done.
DJ once, I remember. Like
Okay.
I think we
before
worked twice because I remember them getting mad at us because they were like, we have to separate them because they keep laughing during.
Oh yeah, we kept laughing at each other.
Yeah. So it was at some point. I remember there being like a conscious decision to. I feel like so maybe it was twice. And Gabby, I do know you walked through a room that I was in, and I was like, "What's that?" And they were like, "Oh, that's Elle," and that's it. That was my first.
Doesn't count.
It doesn't count. But I just saw you in like the waiting room, that one sound studio that had all the Kit Kats and the bowls.
Yes, that's where I met you.
Yeah, exactly.
That was my favorite waiting room. There were so many Kit Kats.
So many Kit Kats. Like yeah, but I was just like, oh, that's all right. Well, I guess we'll meet in 4 years after a pandemic hits.
Oh my God. I love that Kit Kats are the things that like the one thing that everyone had in common before this.
Exactly.
For AJ, I guess, because you get to kind of expand on Gizmo in this, were there aspects of his personality that you were excited to dive into or help create?
We get to see Gizmo be a little sassy, which I enjoy. Like there's a little bit of his like him being sort of moody sometimes, which I feel like in the movies we get to see him be brave and sweet and, but there was a little more, we get to watch him go through the whole range of emotions. So it was pretty fun to just be like, oh, I don't know if I've seen him do that. So yeah, it's very exciting. And also, again, scary because you don't want to do anything that steps outside of what people expect of that character. But, when you spend hundreds of hours or whatever doing a certain character, things are going to run the gamut.
This will be my last one for you all, but I'm curious, Isaac, you kind of said you learned more about the appreciation people had for these movies as you were doing this. Like, what was kind of all of your relationship with Gremlins before this? Did any of you watch it because of the audition or anything like that? Like, how did your love for this or appreciation kind of come to be?
It was actually kind of by chance that my dad wanted to show me the film just as like a family movie night. I was around, I think I was 13 when the audition came around for the project. So a couple of weeks beforehand, I watched the original film. It was really great. I'm not a horror fanatic. I don't like scary things, but it was right up my alley. It had the heart of, the heart of the story. And it was just a really great film to be an introductory scary movie. And then by chance, I happened to have the audition a couple of weeks later. So everything just kind of happened for a reason.
Yeah, I think I watched it way later than I should have. I should have watched it like a lot recently for context. That's a word. Don't worry. I searched it up. But yeah, I mean, I did watch the movie before, as I said earlier. It was like when I was moderately young, but I probably should have watched it again when I got the job instead of waiting for like 4 or 5 episodes in.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with it just because it was something that was always on TV or, it was just always on, and I know my dad was a fan and it was my primary memory of it, other than Gizmo being like, oh, he's so cute, I want a toy of Gizmo, which I never got, was I was terrified of the evil gremlins. There was a scene where they're in like air vents, and I thought as a kid I would like cover up my air vents because I thought one of them was going to pop out. I had a lot of phobias related to like Amblin, raptors I was terrified of, E.T. and Gremlins. So thank you, Spielberg.
Hey.
Yeah, but that was one of my primary fears. Like, they're going to come out of the air conditioning. So, yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. And now you are them. So it's
yeah, I get to be the thing I fear the most. I've lived long enough to see myself become the villain.
That's perfect. Awesome. Well, yeah, that's all I've got for you all. Thank you so much. Congrats on the series. It's so much fun.
Thank you so much.
You'll love it. Yeah. Thank you.